Hey there, good afternoon, good morning, depending on where you're watching from today. I'm Brian Manning. I am a asylum lawyer, and I want to answer your questions about winning asylum in America. Look, I used to be an asylum officer with the government, but I got tired of that. I got tired of this growing pressure to deny people. And I started my own law firm. It's called Political Asylum Lawyers. I've had it for about 5.5 years, and we help people all over the country to secure their future in America through asylum. That's all we do, really, is asylum. We do it all day, every day, and we love the impact that we're able to make on people's lives. And I want to assure you right now, before you go ahead, say hello. Let me know where you're watching from. Love to see where you guys are at. But I want to just take a second to reassure you that it is still possible to win asylum. I know you're getting lots of bad news out there about how hard it is, about people are getting arrested, people are getting deported. There's just tough news out there, right? There's a lot of anti immigrant sentiment, to be sure. But I want you to know it is still possible to win asylum. Okay. It seems like it's almost every day that we're receiving notifications. I think we got 3 approvals in the mail yesterday for our clients. It's possible to win asylum. We keep winning it. We're going to keep winning asylum for our clients. So keep up the faith, all right? Have heart and keep the faith and know that it is possible with a legitimate case, well prepared case, and good case explained on paper, and expert preparation. The preparation is the key. The preparation for your interview is the most important part of your entire case. And a great performance in just telling your story in a clear, effective, impactful way on the day of your interview, it is possible to win asylum. So keep the faith. All right, let's go. What questions do you have then about winning asylum in the United States? First of all, before drop those questions down in the comments, drop your questions. But hey, say hello. Let me know where you're watching from. Haiti, Lumka, on TikTok, Toe Isuf on TikTok, MK, Jahangir, Max. Glad to see you guys. Melats Segaye. Good morning or good afternoon, depending on where you're watching from. Hello, YouTubers. Yelinong, great to see you. Camel, good to see you. Sematimba, nice. Thank you for being on here. 23 Drone View, good to see you again. All right, Rosh, welcome, welcome. Okay, let me know where you're watching from. I'd love to see where you guys are at. Who we got? Where are you at today? Where are you joining us from today? All right. Uh, um, all right. Let's go to the questions. Let me know what questions you have about winning asylum in America. We got Camel says, "Good morning. I guess how are you, Brian? I'm doing well, thank you. Doing great today. It's a good Wednesday. Let's have a great day, everyone." Hey, Brian. Good morning from San Jose. Says Yilin Ong. Good morning, Mr. Brian Manning. Says Simatimba. Simon, good to see you. Thanks for being here. Good morning to you as well. All right. 23 Drone View says, what if a son gets married before our asylum individual hearing? Does he have to keep his case active or go through a marriage case? Good question. The question is this. Let's say you've got one of your children included as a dependent in your case, your asylum case, but they get married before your individual hearing in immigration court or your asylum interview with the asylum office. What happens to them? Can they still be part of your case? No, they can't. Look, when they get married, you lose that qualifying relationship. The qualifying relationship that they had was based on you as the principal applicant, the fact that they're your child. But when they get married, they no longer meet the definition of a child in the way that it's used under immigration laws. So they can't be part of your case anymore. So if they want to win asylum, they would need to file on their own as a principal applicant, like file their own asylum application. But they got to do that quickly. They got to do it within a reasonable time after they get married. What is a reasonable time? There's no hard and fast rule or definition around this, but really like 2 months. I recommend they do it within 2 months of getting married. Now, if they marry a US citizen, they might be able to get status through that. So the US citizen could petition for them to get status. So keep that in mind as well. But it's important to understand. The most important thing I think right now to understand is they're not going to get asylum through you. Okay. So they need to look, they have to fend for themselves basically. All right. All right. Let's go. Yelening says, do I need to upload notarized copies of my documents, such as my birth certificate, my country of origin ID, and others in your drive folder? Your team mentioned that they would take care of notary matter. I'm scheduled for an in-person interview. Can I bring my original documents instead of notarized copies? Yelenong, it's not notarized. It's translated, and like it's what we call certified translations that we're doing of your documents. But to answer your question, you should take the originals with you to your interview. Yeah. So the question is this: what documents do you need to take with you to your asylum interview? Well, you need to take your passport. You need to take your work permit if you have one already. You need to take your identification, any other identification, like if you have a driver's license or any other real ID. In terms of your case documents, though, I do recommend that you take one copy of everything you've submitted to the government. I recommend that you organize it neatly in like a binder. You're almost certainly not going to, you're not going to be allowed to look at it during the interview itself, but you may find that you want to review things before your interview or during like a break, during a pause in the interview. You should also take originals, like meaning, if you have a letter, a witness letter that you received in physical mail from your friend who wrote a letter for your case, and you scanned it, you sent a PDF in as part of your, or a copy of it as part of your case. Well, if you have the original for that, the letter you got in the mail, take the original. Okay. The officers do sometimes ask for originals. If you don't have an original of a document that you submitted because it was like never in physical paper format, like someone sent you an email and you printed that email, you of course, then you can't produce an original. You just have to explain sort of the chain of custody and why it is that you couldn't provide an original. Okay. So those are the things you should take with you. Well, you should also take a snack. All right. Because sometimes these interviews are long and you might get hungry and you want to be able to focus. So take a snack. All right. All right. Hi, sir, from Haiti, says Tick Videos. Nice. Thanks for joining us from Haiti. Denver, says Abush or Abush. Cool. Nice city. Rosh is in Chicago. Good to see you. I had an interview 2 days, but I wasn't interviewed. When will it take to get another one? Do you mean, Simon, do you mean you had an interview scheduled, but it got canceled and they said they're going to reschedule? Is that what you mean? Good question. So the question is very common. The question is this. So when are you going to get your interview if USCIS scheduled your interview, but then they sent you a letter and said, nope, never mind, we're canceling that. Well, don't worry, we'll reschedule it. And now you're waiting for it to be rescheduled. How long is that going to take? Usually it's pretty quick. These reschedules are like the highest priority among different for scheduling interviews. So usually it's like a month or two after the originally scheduled date that you will have the rescheduled interview. But sometimes these fall through the cracks, so it can be longer. If you're waiting more than a month, I recommend reaching out to the Asylum office and say, hey, my interview was canceled. You said you would reschedule. It hasn't happened yet. Would you be so kind as to send me to schedule my interview and send me the notice for the interview? Sometimes that helps to push it forward. All right. All right. Oh, nice. Jovan Ine says on YouTube, this is very, very kind, says, good morning from Kansas. I got my interview yesterday. I just want to say thank you so much for making all your helpful videos. It helped a lot. I want to tell everyone, please learn from what Brian says. Thank you, Jovan, on YouTube. Look, for those of you watching right now on TikTok and Facebook and LinkedIn, go to YouTube. YouTube is where I've got all my best stuff that Jovan is talking about. I've got lots of detailed tutorials, trainings, things that I think are going to help you, that Jovan is saying help them with their interview. And speaking of, look, if you want to get the best help possible for your interview, you want to be as prepared as possible, give yourself every possible advantage just to maximize your chances for success. I think that you'll really like this packet that I put together that just recently, we've just been offering this a few weeks. And honestly, I don't know how long we're going to be able to offer it for because it might not make the most sense economically for my law firm to do it at this price. But in any event, for now at least, we're offering something really special for preparation. Okay. And it doesn't matter whether your interview is already scheduled or not. Even if it's not scheduled, you can still benefit from this. It's called the Mock Asylum Interview Experience. And really the key is a full-scale mock interview with an asylum lawyer, followed by what we call a debrief or follow-up session where we're going to give you our feedback and all of our best tips. And the reason that you can benefit from this, even if your interview doesn't take place for another month or another 6 months or another year or 3 years or 10 years, is that we're going to actually record those practice sessions. We're gonna let you access video recordings of them and audio recordings. So you can just pop the MP3 into your Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube Music, whatever, and listen to it anytime you want, including up until the moment of your interview. Like audio recording, video recording, transcripts, and AI generated summaries of your practice sessions that are going to help you. You can keep studying those. You can keep learning from those and improving because of those, whether your interview is a month from now, a year from now, or 5 years from now. Okay. And so look, this service that we're offering is called the Mock Asylum Interview Experience. And I created a special webpage all about it where you can get a bunch of details, okay, about what exactly it is and why I think it could help you. And you can find that at asylumprep.com. All right, asylumprep.com is where you can go to get information about this service that we call the Mock Asylum Interview Experience. All right. Rosh says, can you explain everything that changed with the new administration for asylees? No, that would take like 3 days to get through everything that changed with the new administration for asylees. But let me try and address it like this. The question is this. So in reality, is it harder to win asylum now under Donald Trump, under the second Trump administration? Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely it is. Look, USCIS has not published statistics around approval rates for several years, but the immigration courts have. And under the Trump administration, the approval rate for asylum cases nationwide on average has fallen from like 52% to 36%. That is a massive drop in just a few months. It's almost certainly much lower at the asylum office. For the last few years, the asylum office has had an even lower approval rate than the immigration courts. So 36% approval in immigration courts, according to recent statistics. At the asylum office, I would guess it's probably 20%, maybe 15% approval rate. And I think that the really scary thing is I think it's only going to get harder to win with every passing month under this administration. I think it's going to get harder and harder under Trump to win asylum. Such that, look, that's just one more reason that if you've been waiting for several years for your interview with USCIS, I think you should talk with an asylum lawyer about possibly suing the government in a mandamus lawsuit to force them to give you your interview, because I think it's in your interest to have your interview now or in the coming months rather than waiting and maybe getting it a year from now, maybe 2 years from now, maybe 3 years from now, when I am highly confident the approval rate is going to be much lower than it is now. So if you've been waiting several years, look, let's do a consultation. Let's talk about this in an asylum strategy session. Go to winasylum.com, WINASYLUM, so we can tell you about this and get to know you, understand your case, see whether you qualify for this, and see what we might be able to do to help you. Go to winasylum.com, all right? Let's talk. Sebastian Simon says, I was there in time, but the interviewer took too long with the first person he had who's not on my side. It's their side, so it's good for me or no. Well, yeah, it's not your fault that they had to reschedule your interview, but so I mean, it's neither good nor bad for you. It's just, it is what it is. It's it's neither good nor bad. All right. But look, Sebastian Simon, they're probably going to, like I said earlier in answering your question, there's a good chance that your interview will be soon, like within the next month or two. There's a good chance. So you need to be prepared. I don't know what you've done to prepare so far. Sebastian Simon, maybe you have a lawyer who is helping you. Even if you have a lawyer helping you, I doubt, correct, tell me if they have in the chat, tell me if they have, Simon, but I'm guessing they didn't do a full-scale mock interview with you. I'm guessing they didn't do a full-scale realistic practice interview with you from beginning to end, did they? I'm guessing they didn't then do a debrief session with you where they gave you detailed, personalized feedback about how best to tell your story in a clear and convincing way. What I'm getting at here, Simon, is that, look, there's time for you to prepare even more. You're kind of lucky in the sense that now you know that that you can actually take significant efforts to improve your case, to improve your chances by preparing, by proactively preparing for your interview. Even if you have a lawyer, you can benefit from this service called the Mock Asylum Interview Experience, which you can find at asylumprep.com. Look, this service that I was telling you guys about earlier, we do this for people that have lawyers. You don't have to fire your lawyer to do this, because this service that I'm talking about, the Mock Asylum Interview Experience, the interview preparation service that we offer, it doesn't make us your lawyers. We're just helping you prepare. And so if you want to keep your current lawyer, great. In fact, I think they will appreciate that you're doing this service with us because we're helping them. We're helping you to prepare. And when you go and do a great job in your interview and you win your case, they're going to look good because they're your lawyer on of record. They're with you in the interview. So I think that your lawyer will like the fact that you're doing this with us. If you want to learn all about this, go to asylumprep.com. Okay, asylumprep.com. All right, what do we have? Not the boy VES says, good morning on YouTube. I have my interview on Monday, still waiting for my decision, but I want to say a very big thank you to you and your team waiting to hear my good news. Awesome. So you're a client? I don't know who the person is behind that YouTube handle. Are you our client? I assume you're our client since you said, thank you to our team. And you're not just someone who benefited from our YouTube videos. So, if you're our client, let me know. And where was your interview? So yeah, I want to hear, not the boy. Listen, if you are our client, not the boy VES, if you are our client, I want to know, if you don't mind sharing, tell the people watching, did the mock interview help you? The practice interview that we did with you, was that helpful? And also, was it helpful? And was it similar to what you really faced on the day of your actual interview? Was it similar? And was it helpful? Did it help you feel prepared? And was it actually similar to the real interview? I would be curious. If you are our client, then you went through that, and I'd be curious to hear in the chat your thoughts on that. All right, Leonardo Silva on YouTube says, my assignment interview is rescheduled for October 23rd in Arlington Asylum office. Please pray for me. Good luck, Leonardo. You got this. Look, Leonardo, this is perfect for you. We have time to help you with this, okay? You've got time. Leonardo, if you want to maximize your chances for success, please go to this webpage and watch the video at the top. Look, on this, actually, let me show you on my screen. Hold on, how do I get there? I want to show you on this page that I'm asking you to go check out. There is, let me see if I can share it. No, wait, that didn't do it. One second, browser. There it is. Look, on this webpage that you're seeing now on the screen, there is a video up top. And it's kind of long and detailed because I want to tell you in detail about this, how this might be able to help you. And then down below, there's just a lot of text. Like it's just a very long web page. If you can see that it scrolls for a long time because I wanted to give you all the information that I think you need about this. You can see there's tons of testimonials from people talking about how the mock asylum interview helped them. This person, Soji, says, the mock interview with Manning Asylum is your best option. I'm really proud of this one. Thomas said, the mock interview prep saved my case. And my asylum was approved in 2 weeks. The price is worth every penny. You can, on this webpage, I've got several of these testimonials that you can see. It's just lots of information. But go to asylumprep.com, watch this video, and you can either watch the video or read the text. It's pretty similar. Or if you really want to go deep, you can do both. And if you think you might want our help with this service, you got to do a consultation first. You can't skip straight to the experience, or the mock assignment interview experience, as we call it the experience for short. You got to do a consultation first because not everyone qualifies. You got to qualify. And we want to do a consultation with you to see if you qualify. So if you want to do a consultation to see if you qualify, click on this blue button. Throughout this webpage, there's blue buttons like this. If you click on it, it'll take you to the next page, which is where you set up your consultation. Okay. And then we'll talk with you and see if you qualify for the experience. That is that. Leonardo, will you go there? Let me know in the chat. Are you going to go to asylumprep.com? Leonardo, let me know. All right. Okay. Kong had their interview. They said, I had my interview. It was good. I'd submitted all my witness affidavits and my pictures. Supporting interview was smooth. I asked about how many harms and explained in detail. Good. Good. Glad to hear it. Glad to hear it went well. Good luck, Kong. Hope you win. Glad to hear it. How long? What's up? 778899 says, how long does it usually take for USCIS to respond to a NOID rebuttal? Good question. And the question is this: how long can you expect it to take to get your answer, your final answer on your asylum case after you submit a rebuttal to a notice of intent to deny? We're talking about the famous NOID, as we call it. It's a notice of intent to deny. So in English, the initials are NOID, and we call that a NOID to sort of put it into one word. It's impossible to predict this, how long it's going to take to get the final decision after you submit the rebuttal. I would say we've done a lot of these lately, and I would say that on average, it's probably 3.5, 4 weeks on average. Sometimes it's shorter, sometimes it's a week and a half, but sometimes it's many weeks or even months. So unfortunately, there's no way to predict this, but it is crucial to get this filed in time. You only have 16 days from the date of the notice of intent to deny to submit your rebuttal, and it's a lot of work. So to anyone who may be in the future receiving one of these notice of intent to deny letters, I recommend you talk with an asylum lawyer immediately, because there's not much time and there's a lot of work to do. These are hard to win. They're very hard to win. The chances for success with these is very low, but we have won them. In fact, recently we've won a few just in the last couple months here, I think 3 or so. And it's possible. It's hard to win these, but it's possible. But you got to act quickly if you get one of these letters. All right. Is the Arlington Asylum Office likely to approve my application? I applied. I have no clue. I have no clue without knowing your case, Leonardo. If you want to talk about your case with us in detail in a consultation, we'll be in a better position to assess what we think your chances for success are. Guys, if you want to talk with us and see if you think we might be able to help you, please go schedule a consultation, or what we call an asylum strategy session. We want to get to know you and understand your case and tell you whether we think we can help you. And if so, we're going to explain how, like what concretely will our steps be to give you every chance to secure your future in America through asylum. All right? Okay. Okay, got it, Simon. Oh, so Simon says I'm one of your clients. Nice. Awesome. Thanks for commenting, Simon. Great. Yeah. Sorry. And then not the another person, not the boy. VES says, yes, I'm your client. Thank you for being our client. It says, they said, had my interview in Chicago. The mock interview was really helped me. Awesome. Thank you for commenting on that. Awesome. Thank you very much, Mr. Brian. I will see it, says Leonardo. Nice. Yeah, Leonardo, go check out. I think you might benefit from asylumprep.com. Go check that out, okay? All right. Let me know in the comments, what do you want to know about winning asylum in America? For those who just joined recently, I'm Brian Manning, and I'm an asylum lawyer. So you see, I used to be an asylum officer with the government. I worked at the Houston Asylum Office. But now, as an asylum lawyer, my law firm helps immigrants all over the country to secure their future in America through asylum, okay? All right. What do you want to know? What do you want to know? TikTok, good morning, good afternoon. How are you? My sister filed, Cashman Odogwu says, my sister filed asylum due to severe health issue. Do you think she's a good case to win? Good question. The question is this: can you win asylum if you've got serious health issues that you're facing? Like if that's the basis for your case, is that you're facing health issues and maybe you can't get the kind of care that you need in your country, but you can get it here in the United States. Is that a reason that you could win asylum? No, unfortunately, no. Look, to win asylum, it's not enough just to prove that you're at risk or in danger in your country. You have to show that you're at real risk of being purposely persecuted. Like someone is going to actually do some kind of harm to you that's very severe, and it's got to be motivated. That harm has to be motivated by the fact that you, as the applicant, possess one of the 5 protected characteristics under U.S. asylum law. And those are your race, religion, nationality, political opinion, or something called membership in a particular social group. So, you know, if your case is built around, look, I have a health issue and I can't get the health care I need there, you'd be missing these elements of look, there's not anyone who's purposely trying to harm you or purposely taking an action that would harm you. And then also, there's no connection to one of those protected grounds probably. So this would be tough. I think she should talk with an asylum lawyer to see if there's other things that make her afraid, that could form the basis um, for for a viable case. Okay. All right. Pam Chahir says, "Good afternoon. I have my interview October 2024. I have my interview October 24, but I still haven't gotten an update yet. Should I be worried?" Good question. The question is this: should you be worried if you had your asylum interview a long time ago, many months, let's say even a year or more ago, and you still haven't gotten a decision? And what should you do? Well, look, I would say you shouldn't, doesn't, it's not a reason to be worried. The fact that it's taking a long time to get your decision does not necessarily mean there's a problem with your case. In fact, I would say usually does not mean there's a problem with your case. It's just that usually that the asylum officers are overwhelmed and have too much work, and they just basically got overwhelmed and forgot about it. And it's just sitting there and they're too busy, either too busy to get to it or they forgot about it. What should you do? You should send them an email, call them and say, "Hey, my case has been pending for a long time. Does the officer need anything from me in order to finish processing my case? I'll be happy to provide it. By the way, could you please give me an estimate as to when I can expect the decision?" Rarely, but every once in a while, that works. That's enough to push it forward. But look, if that doesn't work and you applied for asylum 5 years or more ago, you should consider suing the government to force your decision. Okay. I'm not talking about the time between your interview and now. I'm talking about the time between your application and now. If that's 5 years or more, you're in a good position, I think, to have success with a mandamus lawsuit. It's called a mandamus lawsuit. It's a lawsuit in federal court to force the government to give you your decision. And we help people with this kind of lawsuit all the time. And it's a powerful tool. Our clients love it because it works. All right. Nice. Okay. Domapani says, "Got my court hearing date for the 1st of October." Okay. Will that be your first hearing or second hearing? If you don't have a lawyer yet, you should talk with a lawyer. You're in immigration court, which means that the government's trying to deport you. This is a serious thing. You need to put together the strongest case possible and be as prepared as possible. Okay. All right. What do you want to know? Let me know what you want to know about winning asylum in America. Please tell me the difference between documented and undocumented. Good question. The question is this: what's the difference between being documented and undocumented? Look, there's no those terms are not like actual statuses in the United States. Those terms don't appear in like the immigration laws. They're just used in popular usage to refer to people that have status or don't have legal status. So documented is usually used to refer to someone who has current valid immigration status. Undocumented means you don't have current valid immigration status. If you're undocumented, meaning you don't have legal status, you're at risk of being arrested and deported, detained, and eventually deported. If you do have legal status, you're at lower risk, but if there are certain things you could do to still get deported, like committing certain crimes. But yeah, that's basically the difference. And you can apply for asylum if you're afraid of being harmed in your country. You can apply for asylum in both situations, whether you have legal status or you do not have legal status. You can still apply for asylum. So if you're afraid of being harmed in your country, you should talk with an asylum lawyer about whether it makes sense for you to apply. From your experience, what's the approval rate for Cameroonians? Says Kim Shi. Look, I don't know what the rate is. I don't know off the top of my head what the actual rate is, but we've helped a lot of people win from Cameroon. We've had a lot of good cases from Cameroon, a lot of decent cases that we still managed to win. I will tell you, the approval rates have gone down for everyone, but I have in mind a lot of Cameroonian cases that I know of that the person probably had a decent case in reality, and it probably would have gotten approved a year or two ago, but now it's not getting approved. So it's tough. It's tough to win. It's not impossible. As I said earlier, we keep winning asylum cases. It seems like almost every day we're getting asylum approval notices in our office for our clients. It's hard, but it's possible. Got to put together a good case. Can you work with asylum approval if your EAD is expired? What does that say? Cameron wants to know. The question is this: can you work once you win asylum? Can you work legally despite that your actual work permit card that you had from pending asylum is now expired? Yeah, you can. Actually, you don't have to get a work permit card once you win asylum. When you win asylum, you are authorized to work legally. You don't have to have a card. In the government's eyes, USCIS's eyes, or the government's eyes, you can work legally. You don't need anything to show it. However, as a practical matter, most people do want to get a work permit card, an employment authorization document that shows that they have been granted asylum such that they have permission to work, because a lot of employers want to see that. They don't really, either they don't know or they don't really trust this idea that like, oh, the person's authorized to work because they want asylum. They're like, I don't know about that. I want to see the work permit card. And so for that reason, it usually is a good idea to go ahead and get that work permit card, the EAD. Also, it serves as like a valid, widely understood, accepted form of ID issued by the federal government. So I recommend that you do get it. All right. Exclusive says on TikTok, asylum interview was last week. How do I know the decision? Good question. The question is this: how and when are you going to get your decision after your asylum interview with USCIS? You're not going to get it on the day of your interview. That's guaranteed. You're not going to know it on the day of your interview. Asylum officers are told, hey, don't give any hints, don't say anything that could be understood as indicating which way you're leaning or which way you're going to decide. So you won't know at the day of your interview. At the end of the interview, the officer will tell you how you're going to get your decision. They're going to tell you either you need to come back here in 2 weeks, back to this office in 2 weeks to pick up your decision, the letter that is your decision, or we're going to mail it to you. Don't come back. We're going to send it to you in the mail. It's going to take at least 2 weeks to get that in the mail, but it might take longer. And then you just do that. You either come back in 2 weeks or you wait to get it in the mail. Sometimes they say come back in 2 weeks to get it in person, but during those 2 weeks they call you and say, actually, never mind. Don't come in because we need a little more time to finish your case. It's not ready yet, so don't come in. We're going to mail it to you, and then they'll mail it to you. In these so-called mail-out cases where they mail it to you, it's really impossible to predict how long it's going to take to get your decision. It's usually several weeks, could be many weeks, could even be months. Honestly, sometimes it's years. All right. If you don't have an NTA issued yet, can you file affirmative asylum? Yes. That's the only place you can file. If an NTA has not been filed with the court won't accept your application. They'll reject it, and the only place you can file is with USCIS. All right. You're welcome, Exclusive. You are welcome. What do you want to know about winning asylum in America? I'm Brian Manning, former asylum officer turned asylum lawyer. So I have a law firm. It's called Political Asylum Lawyers, and we help immigrants all over the country to secure their future in America through asylum. And I want to know what questions you have about winning asylum in the United States. So let me know. All right. We got... should I apply for a green card now? Pacifique Muccio, sorry for the pronunciation, wants to know. Basically, you're saying, I was approved for asylum. Should I apply now? Yeah, I think you should, for a green card now. Yeah, I think you should apply sooner rather than later. I think you should apply right after you win asylum, because then you're getting in the queue. You're getting in the line, the backlog to get the green card. So I think I recommend applying now. Saeed says, hey, Brian, I have my interview in 1 month. I'm an F1 student. If my asylum gets rejected, is there any risk to my F1 status? The question is this: what happens if you get denied asylum by USCIS, but you have student status, like F1 or J1 status? Are you at risk of losing that student status? Can they take it away from you because your asylum case was denied? I think the risk there is very, very, very low. I think that it is extremely unlikely that you're going to lose your student status because you lost your asylum case. I have seen in our experience in my law firm, we have seen a couple times where a person went when they went to renew, or like they changed schools, or they went to like apply again for student status, they got denied because USCIS said, "Well, no, we know that you had an asylum case, which means that by applying for asylum, you're basically saying that you want to stay here permanently, and that's inconsistent with what you're supposed to be doing as a student. A student status is not for people who want to stay here permanently." And so we've seen that happen, but I've never seen it just stripped from someone their current F1 or J1 status. I've never seen it taken away after the person lost an asylum case. So I think the risks of that happening are very low. So I think they're so low that I wouldn't worry about it if I were you. Okay. Saeed, look, if your interview is next month, in 1 month, this is perfect timing for us to be able to help you through what we call the mock asylum interview experience. Saeed, have you checked this webpage out yet? Let me know in the comments, Saeed. Go to asylumprep.com. Saeed, I think you will like what we have to tell you there. Go to asylumprep.com, Saeed. Have you checked it out yet? Let me know. I want you to look, okay? Go check out asylumprep.com. Watch the video at the top. All right? Nahom Girma says, when I was in my country after I got my visa from the U.S. Embassy, I didn't come to the U.S. I came to the States 1 year later. Would that be a problem since I came when it gotten severe? No. No. Well, sorry. Let me rephrase that. Let me try to address it like this. The question is this: will the fact that you got a U.S. visa, stayed in your country for a long time, like let's say a year after getting that visa, before you finally fled for the United States, will the fact that you were there for that kind of big chunk of time be looked at negatively for your asylum case? Look, no, not if there's things that happened after you got the visa that were kind of worse than things that happened before, and that made you finally decide, like, okay, I need to flee now. I'm in real danger. I can't be safe here. I got to go. But if there wasn't really like an increase in the severity of the harm or threats against you, then the officer may question, like, well, okay, so like, why did you stay in your country for so long and not leave? And the fact that they were doing these bad things for you, or at least targeting you or threatening you at least for a long time, and you still stayed there, and yet they never really took it any further. They never did, like, they never killed you, or they never did really, really, really bad things to you, makes me think that maybe they're not inclined to hurt you in a really severe way. Because if they wanted to, that they would have done it, since you were there for so long, and like they knew about you, and they were already, you were already on their radar, and they didn't sort of take the next step and make things even worse for you. That's the line of thinking that a lot of officers have. So you just need to think ahead of time about how to address that, and sort of just what happened, and what your timeline of your thinking was around your decision to flee. All right. All right. Craftsmanship Palace says, Brian, hey, good to see you. Yaya, travel. From Somalia, I would not, even if they grant you advanced parole, no, I would not travel. Because of the travel ban, I would not leave the United States, unfortunately. Can an immigrant face federal imprisonment by not attending asylum upon filing and being processed? Good question. The question is this: can you be arrested, prosecuted, jailed for failing to attend your asylum interview or attend your immigration court hearings? Look, those things in and of themselves are not crimes. However, you could be ordered deported. Like if you don't go to your asylum interview and your case gets transferred to immigration court, and you don't go to your court hearings, you'll get what's called an in absentia order of deportation, where you'll get an order of deportation. And When that happens, yeah, you could be detained. You could be detained because you don't have legal status and because the government intends to deport you. You could be detained and deported. So it's not really it's not a crime to not show up at your asylum interview or your court hearing, but the fact that you don't have status and then you get a deportation order can lead to you being detained and deported. All right. All right. Nice. Thank you. Mofid Chitu, sorry for the pronunciation, says, uh, how long after my interview can I follow up with my asylum officer for a mail out decision with USCIS? Good question. The question is this: when should you follow up with USCIS after your asylum interview? If you're waiting for the decision, you've been waiting for, let's say, weeks, months, whatever, and you haven't gotten the decision, at what point should you do something to follow up? Look, I would say a month after your interview, if you haven't received the decision, send an email and say, look, I had my interview on X date and I was hoping you could let the lawyer, not the lawyer, the asylum officer know that I'll be happy to provide any other information that they might need to conclude my case. By the way, could you please let me know when I could expect to get the decision? Rarely, but sometime, every once in a while, that works. That's enough sometimes to spur the case forward and to get the decision. If that doesn't work, then what I want to know is, when did you apply? If you applied for asylum 5 years or more ago, then I think you'd be in a good position to uh, have success with what's called a mandamus lawsuit, where we're suing the federal government, asking a federal judge to tell the asylum office to do its job. We're asking them to give them to make the judge to make USCIS give you your interview and your not just your interview. In this case, you've already had your interview, but you can also use this lawsuit to make them give you your decision. Okay, that's what I think. All right. Please paste the asylum website. Yusuf001 wants to know if you're talking about the, yeah, I'm going to put it here, asylum training. This is the URL for a special service that we offer about preparation for the asylum interview. I think this is the best thing that you can find out there available to prepare for the interview. Okay. It's at asylumprep.com. Asylumprep.com. All right. Asylumprep.com is where you will go to check out this webpage about what we might be able to do to help you in terms of preparing for your interview. Okay, it's a full scale, the package that I put together, which we might not be able to keep open for long because I'm not sure it's going to make a bunch of sense for my law firm economically. But for now, it's available at least, and it's really 3 pillars. There's a 2-hour mock interview session with an asylum lawyer, followed by a 30-minute debrief session where we give you feedback and all our best tips. And then third, it's your personalized study packet, which consists of the video and audio recordings of your 2 practice sessions, plus an AI-generated summary of those sessions, plus transcripts from those sections. So you can keep benefiting from those materials until the moment of your interview. It doesn't matter whether your interview is 2 weeks from now, 2 months from now, 2 years from now, or 5 years from now. You can do this now while we're still offering it and keep benefiting from it no matter when your interview is. So if you want to maximize your chances for asylum success, I think this is the best way to do it. At asylumprep.com is where you would go to find all the information about this service. And you would need to do a consultation first to see if you qualify. Not everyone qualifies for this service, okay? So that's where you can go, and you can click on the blue link on that page to then go schedule a consultation. If you want to know more and you want to see if you qualify, first start at asylumprep.com, watch the video, read the information. If it sounds good to you, then click on the blue button on that page to schedule a consultation. That's the first step. All right. Look, that's going to be it for today, guys. I'm Brian Manning. I'm a former asylum officer turned asylum lawyer, and my law firm helps immigrants all over the country to secure their future in America through asylum. Okay. And I want to talk about that with you. If you think you might want help, we should talk. Schedule an asylum strategy session right now. Go to winasylum.com, WINASYLUM.com, okay? All right, guys, that's it for today. Thank you. Look, as always, it really is an honor and a pleasure to support you in your asylum journey. Thanks, guys.